Bauer, and this is the Christmas watercolor postcard kit tutorial. I'm so glad you're here and that you're trying out my kit. Today we are going to be painting the Christmas tree. So you'll need to grab your Christmas tree postcard, your paint brushes, both of them, and then your paint palette that came with your kit as well. And then if you could grab a paper towel, a cup of water, and a paper plate or a plate that you don't mind getting paint on, it's going to come in really handy as you're painting today. I hope you have a great time doing this with me. Okay, I am going to get started with my Christmas tree painting. I have my paint palette. You can tell I've already painted a couple with it, but I also have a paper towel and a cup of clean water, and then the brushes that came with the kit as well. And that should be all that you need. I am going to get started by using my bigger brush and just wetting down the sky. And you can cover over some of the Christmas tree because you want anywhere the tree doesn't, the branches don't come through, you're going to want to see sky behind it. So cover every... Okay, we are going to start by using our bigger brush and just taking water to fill in the entire sky. And you want to do this over the Christmas tree too, just so that any spots where the branches don't touch or don't show up, that you see sky behind it. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll start with the blue. Okay, everything should be wet now except for your ground and the star I tried to leave dry because you don't want those. Those are going to be a lighter colored paint, so you don't want to have the dark blue on top of it. So now I'm going to go through and just use my big paintbrush again and go on all of that sky I just wetted and fill it in with the blue. I'm going to try avoid getting the snow at the bottom of the screen and that star. And I found that if you work in the direction of the paper, this postcard has kind of a vertical line to it. It goes on a little bit smoother, if that helps. So I will fill it in and then we'll keep going. Okay, I'm going to talk the color wheel. I love to pull this out and just talk about mixing colors a little bit when we're using our palette of paint. So if you look, orange is on this color wheel directly across from blue. So if you look up close, it says adding blue to the orange will look like a gray. And that's what I want to create the shadows in my snow. So I'm just going to mix a little bit of orange and a little bit of blue and use a lot of water to create a shadow down here. And then I'm going to use a wet brush just to clean up any of these little blue spots that got down into the snow. So I will show you that now. Okay, so I have mixed a little bit of my orange and a little bit of my blue, and you'll see it's just a little bit more of a gray color. And I think that just looks a little bit more natural in the snow. And so I am imagining that my sunshine is up here, and so with the tree, the shadow would be down in this corner where I'm painting. And I'm just going to kind of fill out to the edge over here, and then do kind of a jagged line on the left there. There we go. Okay, so I have mixed a little bit of my orange and a little bit of my blue, and you'll see it's just a little bit more of a gray color. And I think that just looks a little bit more natural in the snow. And so I am imagining that my sunshine is up here. And so with the tree, the shadow would be down in this corner where I'm painting. And I'm just going to kind of fill out to the edge over here and then do kind of a jagged line on the left there. There we go. Okay, now we're going to get started on the tree now that my sky is dry. You want to make sure it's dry so that the green doesn't bleed into your blue. So I've just wet my green over here, and we're using it just like this. And I'm going to start with a long skinny branch at the top, and then I'll start to fan out. So you're making a little tiny fan, and you want it to be skinny at the top, and then you'll start to get fatter as we go down. And then I'm going to do that same kind of one at the top and then a little fan on each of those little branches that we have sketched on there. So one at the top and then fan down. And we will follow that all the way down the tree, each of those branches, okay? Just like this, fanning down. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll keep going. Okay, this is what it's going to look like once I get all of those branches done. And now I'm going to use my skinny brush again that I just used for the branches in my brown, and just plain brown, to create a little bit of a trunk. And so you'll notice that the sketch line is skinnier at the bottom, but I want to make it a little bit wider just so it looks more like a real tree. And then I'll get skinny pretty quickly as I come up through here, and just kind of, I peek out in some of those branches so that you can see it kind of popping through the branch, or the leaves and the pine needles. But then I'll keep going all the way up and just kind of really thin brown line so that the trunk pops through there. So we're getting most of our tree built here now, but you'll notice it feels like there's kind of some holes in the middle because we see the branches that go out on each side, but we kind of need to fill in this space around the trunk. So I'm going to just go back in with my green, just the plain green, and just kind of fill in some of those gaps so that you're kind of building branches that would be coming at you, that you'd look at straight on. So I'll go down my trunk that I just put, and just make sure that brown is dry before you start building on top of it. And then I will build out those branches in the front. Okay, so I'm going to pull out my color wheel again, and we have this kind of green color that we're working with our tree. And if you add red, which is directly across the color wheel, you're going to get this muted kind of brown, but if we don't add too much red, it will look just kind of like a muted green. And that is going to act as a little bit of a low light or a shadow on our tree. So I am going to grab this red that's right above my green on my palette, add it into my red, and it will create like a dark green color. So I'm going to take that dark green color that I just mixed up and add it to the bottom side of my branches. So anywhere where it feels like the sun would have a harder time reaching, that's going to be kind of where you want to add it, just to create a little bit more dimension. And we have a little bit there from what we did earlier, all of the different variations of how much water you have on your brush will make a different shades, but this just adds a little bit extra dimension in there. So you're noticing I'm putting it on kind of the bottom. So where we had those original branches, the top you want to be a little bit lighter. The bottom, I'm adding some of that dark. And I will do that the rest of the way down my tree. Okay, so now that I've got all my branches on there, I am going to focus on my star. And I'm just going to use a little bit of my yellow up here, and I want it to be pretty dry when I put it on. So I'm going to wet it just a little bit to get that paint activated, but you don't want it to be watered down much at all because you need to kind of have a sharp line and have it stand out against that blue. So I don't want to water it down much at all. And I am just going to fill that in. And then if you need to go back with a second coat to brighten it up, I find that helps sometimes too. So just let it fully dry if you're going to do that. And then go back in. Come in and pick up just a little bit of paint with a dry brush. You can tap it into your paper towel to dry it off. But if you pick up the one side, I always feel like it looks like it's shining a little bit, and I kind of like that. And then lastly, now that our star is done, you can always... Okay, now that our star is done, I'm going to come in and just pick up just a tiny bit of the paint on my left side there where my light is coming from this direction. And it gives it a little bit of a highlight, having that white peek through. It makes it feel like it's shimmering, and I love that. And lastly, I'm not going to add any, but if you wanted to play around with it, you could always grab your orange or your yellow and your red and make little ornaments or lights on the tree too, which is kind of a fun addition. And there is our Christmas tree. There's our Christmas tree. We're all set. Hope you had a fun time making this with me, and I hope you have fun getting creative with it. Okay, so here is our finished Christmas tree postcard. I'm so thankful that you joined me today. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. And don't forget to throw a little note on your card and put it in the mail and send a little something to a friend or family today.